Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whichever time of day it is, whatever part of the world you are in. Welcome to Falls from Iron and welcome to the Transfer Business Tier List, part 3 of this series. Before I get into it, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming. Don't forget, drop a like on the stream. It helps the channel out tremendously. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure you hit that bell icon to be notified of any new content as and when we upload it to the channel, such as this. So, I have a very special guest here with me today from a fellow West Ham fan YouTube channel. I have Titch. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you. And thanks for having me on once again. But yeah, I'm good, man. You? How are you?
Mate, it's
busy. You're busy, aren't you?
Busy weekend, yeah, with one thing and another. But yeah, it's been pretty productive as it goes. So I can't complain. Well, I could, but nobody had listened. So what's the point?
I would like to say I've seen tremendous growth in your channel in a short space of time.
Yeah, no, we've done all right.
Obviously, that's because of the work you've been grinding, the work you've been putting in is paying off. Well,
so I can't say it's just me, Titch. There's been an awful lot.
No, I mean the channel. I mean the channel.
Yeah.
No, I can't. The work you lot are putting in.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know, especially initially, you got to put in that work to try and get those subscribers in. So yeah, congratulations.
And I've had this conversation with so many people, Titch, and I'm sure you know it, having trod the path yourself. When this channel first started, it was just Duke and I, and we had a conversation and we were like, well, how hard can it be? It's just staring into a webcam and having a chat. And once you get into it and you realize there's so much more to running a YouTube channel and doing it to a good degree sort of thing. So yeah, my hat is off to anyone that wants to do this gig, because seriously, it's not as easy as some people think. and you and I both know that onto our cost. But yeah, so for the benefit of those that are watching, that are looking at you with all due respect and saying, who is this fella? Why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and your YouTube channel and whatnot?
Okay, so obviously my name's Titch. I run a YouTube channel called Hammers Fans United, which is there on the screen.
Yep.
I would say that my channel is, would I say the word diverse? Basically, my channel kind of got most of its subscribers from a Jack Grealish comedy type skit that I done, off the cuff, when we played Aston Villa. Sufa had him in his pocket, and then I just got the inspiration. I done his voice in one take. I had to edit the video to look like he's talking when I'm talking, put on his voice in my phone just as a voice recording, and from that I got most of my subscribers. Now, before that and after that, basically I'm just doing sort of West Ham reviews and previews, and just I add a lot of editing to my stuff just to try and be a little bit more different, and it takes my videos a bit longer to go out. But I'm fully aware that a lot of the subscribers are from the Jack Grealish thing. I've since done other skits. I've done a little Roy Keane one, which I think was actually excellent, but it's only got a few views. I've done a Frank Lampard speaking to Jack Grealish. So yeah, when I get the inspiration, then I'll do sort of the comedy type stuff. But that's not what my channel is.
You got to do me a Jack Grealish. Come on. Give me a Jack Grealish impression. Come on.
I'm telling you now, I'd never done his voice, and I was literally laying in bed the morning after we beat them.
Yeah.
It came to me, and I was tired. I was thinking, and I thought, you know what? Get up. I've done it. So, if I do it live,
I'm putting you on the spot. I do appreciate that.
I'm trying to think.
That's a little bit unfair of me. But
and then you got to pull a funny face when you.
You know
what? We'll talk. It might come to me during the show because man, it's
But for the benefit of those of you watching that haven't already subscribed to Titch's channel, I'm going to put this information that's in the banner. It will be in the link below the description on both YouTube and on Facebook. So all you got to do is just basically follow the link, go to Hammers Fans United on YouTube, click subscribe, click the bell icon as you would, as I say, at the beginning of every stream that we do, so that you'll be notified of any new content that Titch uploads to Hammers Fans United.
Can I do one more? Can I do one more plug? So basically, I have literally neglected my channel since the last game of the season against Southampton. I just took a break, basically. I was helping out on I would have to say my other channel, which is West Ham Random. It's not my channel, but it is my channel. So we've helped, build that up. But I'm going to introduce, as from next week, a concept that I came up with last year at Christmas. It's called One From Each Team.
Okay.
It's very unique, and this is for everybody. People like yourself, Gatesy, that have got a channel. People that are just subscribers, you know, and so basically, I'll give you the quick rundown, and I hope that would also get me a few more subscribers. So basically, I waited until now, just so we got the transfer window out of the way, and we've had a few games in the Premier League, so people know, you know, like the likes of Norwich, Watford, like who are their squad basically. So the concept is you have to pick one player from each Premier League club, which is obviously 20.
Yep.
Including your bench, which is 9 subs, and the only stipulation is you have to have one goalkeeper. Now, what I would like is that you get into management or manager mode and you try and select it as a balanced squad. So your bench wouldn't be one goalie and 8 strikers. You would kind of, you know, a couple of defenders, a midfield. So yeah, and then, like I said, my channel is not busy, but the only way I could formulate it to make it slightly competitive is if the people in the comments rate the squads from maybe 1 to 10, then at the end of the season we can kind of see whose squad kind of the public or the viewers rated at. That's a solid squad.
Just a little bit of fun.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing that once or twice a week, and just like this, we'll film it, then I'll do a little bit of editing on top, then I'll upload it. But yeah, that's for everybody. That's for people with a channel, which obviously they can come on and promote their channel. And it's also for the subscribers that, you know, that just want to get involved. The only stipulation is that you have to show your face on camera. I don't want to be speaking to a blank screen, man. Let's make it for the viewing public. We need to see who's at the other end. Well, so Gatesy will be on there at some point. Duke, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously very, very busy with the pub, as I'm sure you're well aware. So with him, time's a little bit more of a valuable commodity. But as far as I'm concerned, mate, you know, if I'm around, I'd love to get involved in that. That sounds like a really good idea.
One from each team. That's what it's called.
Yeah, I'll have some of that. Before we get into the actual main event, I'm just going to do this because I normally do this at the end of the videos, but I'll do it at the beginning of this one. For those of you that are watching, young Isla Caton is a young girl that's battling neuroblastoma, for which there's no treatment in this country. Her family have got to raise the funds. For those of you that are long-time subscribers to the channel will know this is something that I'm very, very passionate about, trying to get, you know, some awareness, you know, and funds as well if possible. But, you know, guys, the information in this banner, it's in the description below YouTube and Facebook, so it can be copied and pasted onto your social media platforms with a little note that this little girl is fighting for her life. She can't get the treatment in this country, and her family have got to try and raise the money to save her life. It's as simple as that. One thing of note, though, that has changed is the link to the Just Giving. That has changed in the last few days. So just to make everybody aware that's a long time listener or watcher and is looking at that and thinking that looks a little bit different from before, it is. There's been a fundamental change to the link that you now need to use. I don't know all the ins and outs, and to be honest, it's nothing to do with me. As far as I'm concerned, this girl still needs help, and you know, you've still got an avenue to put some money in the tin, should you so choose to do. And I thank you very much indeed for your support and your attention on that matter. So, Titch, are you sitting comfortably, as they said on Jack and Ori?
I'm sitting comfortably. All I've done is, while you was speaking just now, I've just brought up last season's final Premier League table, just so it gave me a little bit of a, you know, as to where people finished. So yeah.
No, that's cool.
I'm ready.
Then we're going to begin. So, transfer business tier list. So, just bring this up for the people at home that are watching. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the tier list. So at the top, you have excellent. Below that, you have very good. Then you have bang average, and finally poor. We have 20 Premier League teams, starting alphabetically from Arsenal and working our way along to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, Titch will be starting at Arsenal, and he will be giving his opinions, his thoughts, whether we agree with it or not, but they're Titch's opinions, and he can decide where he is going to put each individual club in terms of their transfer business. And when I say transfer business, I mean everything in its entirety. I'm not just talking the players they bought, I'm talking the players that were moved on, and I'm potentially talking about players that a lot of people would have thought would have moved on in the transfer window and didn't. One such example being our very own Declan Rice. You know, that has to be factored in. You know, is there a star player that everybody said was going to move on and he didn't? So, Titch, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready, man.
So, we're starting at Arsenal. Now, just looking on the Premier League websites, their incomings of note: Nuno Tavares, Albert Sambi Lokonga, Ben White, Martin Odegaard, Aaron Ramsdale, Takahiro Tomiyasu. They're notable outgoings. Just looking down the list, there's an awful lot of players, most of which people from outside North London probably have never heard of. But David Luiz is one of note. Matteo Guendouzi, Joe Willock, Lucas Torreira, Willian, Reece Nelson, Alex Runarsson, Hector Bellerin are the ones that, you know, are in or around the first team that people in the general public would have heard of. So your thoughts on their transfer business? They were fairly sort of they were splashing the cash around, in fairness, but was it done wisely?
Right. Obviously, Arsenal finished 8th last season, which was out of the European places. I don't know when the last time they finished so low down the league was, and because of that, because of the fact that Arsenal are historically a massive club, I think their transfer business was questionable. Now, the right back, the Japanese guy, I know that we looked at him, and I know that someone else, and we kind of just didn't, you know, go for it. So the fact that Arsenal were taking players that other clubs are potentially not even interested in, sort of speaks volumes to me. It sort of shows that, you know, Edu and the director of football, I don't think they have a plan. He come out yesterday and said that, you know, they're invested in youth, and I think he's just saying that just to almost try and cover his back. Ben White has got a lot of potential. 50 mil. I mean, when we done the last show that I was on Gatesy, he was valued at 25, I think, and I bought him in for West Ham when we had 85 to spend. You know, like, so 50 mil on Ben White in the current Arsenal squad. I wouldn't say it's money very well spent.
Do you think? And this was something that when I recorded yesterday, the episode I did with Cahill, do you think that a lot of the reason why Ben White was so expensive is due to the fact he's English?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we all know that adds value, but I think who else was after Ben White? Who was like pursuing him? You understand? Like, who really wanted Ben White?
I don't remember hearing anyone else seriously in for him, to be honest.
So to pay 50 mil for someone that is not hot property, it just, I don't know, it just at the minute, and you know, after the past few seasons, it kind of just stinks of Arsenal. Do you understand? Like, I just think, it's one, going back to what you said about, you know, players that stayed and all that. I think that I might be wrong with his wages, but I think Aubameyang's on 250,000 a week,
right?
Maybe more. Now, he hasn't really been doing too much in the last 2 seasons. Well, no, sorry, since he signed that new contract.
Since he signed the contract, wasn't it? Yeah.
So, was it good business keeping him? Could you have got some money for him and also got him off of your books? So, I would also factor that into the equation as bad business on Arsenal's part, especially as they spent 130 mil on, you know, sort of, to me, like, mediocre signings. They kept Ainsley Maitland-Niles, which I think is a good player, but it seems like you've kind of kept him after he's, you know, like, had a little bit of a hissy fit. So, did you really want to keep him? Do you really rate him? And once again, maybe you could have just sold him and got some money for him, because he's not really been featuring over the last few seasons. So why are you keeping hold of him and not, you know, at least getting him out on loan and getting his wages off of your book? So they bought in the Japanese guy who I don't know nothing about. They bought in Ben White, 50 mil. I think they overspent. They bought in Odegaard, who he just very much a, you know, like typical Arsenal of the last 5 years, who's on his day, he can have a good game, but over the course of a season, I don't think he's better than Smith Rowe. So, who else did they bring in? Like, just that Tavares, is it?
Nuno Tavares from Benfica, Albert Sambi Lokonga from Anderlecht, Aaron Ramsdale from Sheffield United. You've mentioned, obviously, Odegaard, White and Tomiyasu. There's another guy they brought in called Mika Bereth from Fulham, but I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that guy.
Okay, right. So, like I said, Aubameyang, I think you could have moved him on. And the ones that have come in, I mean, you got rid of Bellerin, but you've brought in this Japanese guy. Is the Japanese guy going to be better than Bellerin? Bellerin's got Premier League experience. So, is he going to be better than Maitland-Niles at right back? We don't even know that yet. So, I would have to say the stature of Arsenal, the money they've spent, the season they had last season, the way they've started this season, I'm looking at poor, but they have spent money. They have brought players in. So I'm going to have to rate that bang, bang, bang average for Arsenal Football Club. Have to.
At the minute, I think it's probably too early to say, but on the basis of the games that they've played in the Premier League, would you suggest that although they've spent money, do you think they've spent that money wisely?
No, your thing's got a bit muffly, Gatesy, your microphone. Just a little.
I say,
That's fine.
has the money been spent? You say they've spent a lot of money, and that is true. I think 130 odd million, if I remember correctly. But has that money? I know it's early days, but on the basis of the 3 games you've seen so far in the Premier League, do you feel that money has been spent wisely?
Not at all. Not at all. So I could have said poor, but the fact they spent money, they've brought players in. You know, like there is. I mean, sometimes. Well, yeah, you have to freshen it up all the time. Even if you've got like the best squad, you still need to freshen up, even if it's with one signing for the best squad. But Arsenal need changes, and I just don't feel their changes were adequate enough for where they're at. So, yeah, bang, bang, bang average. Not even just bang average. That was just above poor for me.
Okay, yeah, close run thing, but you've made the decision to put them in the bang average category. Not a problem at all. Okay, so next club on the list, Aston Villa. So, players of note coming in. Emiliano Buendia from Norwich, Ashley Young from Inter Milan, Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen, Danny Ings from Southampton, Axel Tuanzebe on loan from Manchester United. Players of note out of the door, Ahmed El Mohammadi, Neil Taylor, Tom Heaton, load of players that I've never heard of. And then we hit a certain Jack Grealish for £100 million, British record. We've then Wesley went to Club Brugge on loan. Conor Hourihane went to Sheffield United on loan, and as I say, a raft of players that quite frankly, I've never heard of. So again, probably you could say the main sort of like topic is Grealish out, replaced by a raft of players to replace them. So was that good business, or do you think that might come back to bite them on the backside?
Right. To get 100 mil, which is clearly, we've said it already, a British record, for, a player that is Villa through and through. He didn't, cause any disruption in the transfer. Man City made it clear that they want him. I think that transfer alone on their part is excellent business. Excellent. Like, the fact that, we want 100 mil for Rice, but will we get it? I don't know. So the fact that a player could leave them with their blessing almost, and they get £100 million in return, I think that transfer alone was excellent business. The good thing with Villa, and I said this on, I don't know, another channel or another show previously, is that they've got a plan, and their plan is to, reinvest and try and, always strengthen the squad. Now, they said before he went that if he does go, that may well accelerate their plan, as in getting into Europe and stuff like that. So they sold him with a plan. They didn't just sell him for the money. Now, Leon Bailey I think, is a very good player, and he's got a lot of potential. Danny Ings, I already said that I wanted him at West Ham. Tuanzebe, Man United. I don't think he's got many critics, so on loan, that's a great signing. Who else did they bring in? Oh, Buendia, Championship. I think he was Championship Player of the Season. Yep. And who was the other one? There's one more you said they brought in.
Buendia, Ashley Young from Inter Milan. Bit of experience. I know like he's a little bit long in the tooth, but he's still someone that can do a job.
Right. So if you balance up the players they brought in for the one player they released, and there was probably still some money left over, the whole Jack Grealish transfer was excellent business for Aston Villa. So you know what? This is gonna make some people might not agree with me, but I just think overall, you sold your best player, your talisman, your boyhood hero. But like I said, I've done a little bit of research on Villa, and I know that they've got a plan, and they always reinvest as best as they can. So with that being said, and sorry, last season Villa without Grealish was not the same with Grealish, right?
Yeah.
So, but they did have to cope without him for however many games. So I think they've identified, look, if he does go, Buendia is a great signing for me.
Yeah.
Ings is a great signing. Bailey is potentially is a very good signing. So, and Ashley Young, like I said, he's got the experience and he can still do a job. So I think that the ins outweigh the outs, and they've not only just got, you know, they didn't stockpile. They brought players in that are going to go in and start in Ings, Young, and Buendia especially. So I would have to put Aston Villa right at the top of that. I would say that's excellent business for them.
Okay, like it.
Yeah.
Good. So Aston Villa occupy the excellent. And you know what? So far as we've been doing this, you're the third. And we've only had one team that's got into the excellent category. And I was shocked when it happened because it was yesterday when I did the recording with Cahill and he put Newcastle United in there on the basis of one player. Yeah, listen, Cal, if you're watching,
excellent.
You probably will. Yes. Listen, I love you, and you know, you're a fantastic contributor to this channel. I had to chuckle at that, mate. I was like, were you being provocative or something? But
What
listen, it's all about opinions, Titch, and it's, you know, it's like people might look at this and look at certain teams that you put wherever and go, I don't agree with that, and that's fine, you know. We all look at it our own way. But yes, so far it's been the only ones that have got in excellent so far are obviously Villa just now and Newcastle. And I can't remember, it was one player that we'll obviously come to it as we go along. There was a player that Newcastle signed that he said, I've got to put him in excellent just on the basis of that one player alone. And I was like, okay, fine. Not a problem.
Yeah. It's a game of opinions.
Exactly. So we move on. Premier League new boys, Brentford. Now, there was a bit of a revolving door going, I would say at Griffin Park, but they're no longer there. Is it the Brentford Community Stadium or something? I don't know. Wherever.
Yeah.
Okay. So incomings, is there a name there that I recognise? Well, the only one I can honestly say that I look at and go, yes, I've heard of him, was Christopher Ayer of Celtic. The rest of them, I got to be honest, I've never heard of Frank Onyeka of Meechland. I've never heard of Johan Wissa of Lorient. I've not heard of Alvaro Fernandez of Huesca. These are not players that, in all honesty, are familiar to me, but they might be familiar to some of you watching. As far as the outgoings were concerned, again, players that I recognise: Henrik Dalsgaard, Emiliano Marcondes, Patrick Gunnarsson. You know, but really, I'm not a Brentford fan, so a lot of these names don't mean an awful lot to me, if I'm being brutally honest. So, I mean, your knowledge of Brentford, whether it's as much as mine or as little as mine, I don't know, but give me your thoughts.
Right. So one player at Brentford I'm very familiar with is Tariq Fosu. He used to, I mean, when he first started playing football, that was for me. I coached him and picked him up, you know, for about 6 or 7 years. He got scouted when we won the London Cup final at Mile End Stadium. So I'm very familiar with one of their players. I'm also familiar with their model. They have a model in place that they sort of know what they're going to get when they bring in a player through data and analytics and stuff like that.
Is that the Moneyball system?
I know that they may have 5 players in line for each position, and they know based off of their data that yes, he's going to come in and he's going to fit into their system, and you know, like basically how well he's going to do. That is proven by the fact that Neil Maupay, they got him from France, moved him on. Then the next one was Ollie Watkins. They got him from Exeter, moved him on. Then they've got Ivan Toney from, and I'm just talking about their strikers, but yeah, like they've got a model in place that I did watch a documentary maybe 2 years ago, so I kind of know that they're onto something and it works. Do you understand? So that's how much I do know about Brentford. They've obviously got a new stadium, so I think once again they're a club that's trying to build bit by bit, do things, you know, correctly so that they don't go bankrupt. And yeah, I kind of respect the model and what Brentford are doing. In regard to their transfer business, just like you, the players that have in and out, I don't know. But what I will say is one fantastic bit of business is obviously keeping hold of Ivan Toney.
Yep.
Also, I think the club, I also think it's maybe for their model and their structure, it's good business not to disrupt the squad too much, because, you know, like they've built their squad based off of data and players that they know will gel. and play the system right. So maybe now that model was based more on the Championship, and now they need to get to know the Premier League to then decide, okay, who is now best suited to our model as a Premier League team. So I think that even though it's been fairly quiet for them, I still think it's good business because of the model and the structure of the club. So yeah, I'm not going to spend too long on Brentford, but I would say I would put them in the very good bracket based off of the structure of Brentford Football Club. So yeah, some people once again might not agree with that, but I sort of know their model and their structure and where they're trying to go. So I think yeah, it's good business. Now, like I said, keeping Ivan Toney, keeping what's the right winger, Wembuyo or whatever. He's a good player, man.
Is it Umbuemo? Is that
Mbuemo. Did they bring? I'm sure they brought in a left winger as well that has gone straight into the team.
Oh, crumbs! And don't what in this transfer window
or before the season? I'm sure they brought in a player that's gone straight into the team. But yeah, I think for Brentford Football Club, they had a very good transfer window. Yeah,
okay,
and
they're in there.
Just keep an hold of their players that they did.
Yeah, like you say, Ivan Toney could have been flogged on and got a bundle of cash for him and done some business, but they didn't. They've kept him, and hopefully it will reap them the rewards, but time will tell. Okay, next on the list, Brighton and Hove Albion down there on the Sussex coastline. So, looking on the Premier League website for their incomings of note, Abdallah Sima, is the only one that I look at and go, yep, heard of him. Just some other names to throw at you. Jeremy Sarmiento from Benfica, Enoch Mwepu from Salzburg, Kiel Sherpen from Ajax, Mark Cucurella from Getafe. I'll be honest and say names that are unfamiliar to me until I saw them on this website a few days ago when I started doing this series. Outgoings that I recognise: Jose Izquierdo, Davy Proper, Bernardo, Matt Ryan, Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh, Ben White's the big one, obviously. They've also loaned, having bought him in, Abdallah Sima out to Stoke, so he's actually not going to be used for them this season, which is a shame. I'd have liked to have seen how they've stacked up, but there you go. That's what they've obviously decided to do. So yeah, give me your thoughts on the seaside. Right, Brighton.
This will be a quick one because I know I'm dragging it out. The players they brought in, I've heard that Cucurella is meant to be a good player, but I didn't know nothing about him. I would say the players that they've brought in, the players that they've shipped out or whatever, it's from what you've just said, it seems to be sort of just like the same in, the same out. They sold their main asset, and Sima, who potentially could have made an impact in the Premier League, they've loaned him out. So this is a very quick one. I would have to say Brighton's transfer business has been bang average.
Okay. Brighton are in the bang average category. No problem. Just to bring it up there. There they are. Okay, so next on the hit list, Burnley. Now, Burnley, who have they brought in? Well, players of note: Wayne Hennessy, Aaron Lennon, Maxwell Cornet, and Connor Roberts are the ones that I'm looking at and go, yeah, I'm familiar with them. The rest
wasn't Lennon there already though? Where did Lennon come from?
It just says Aaron Lennon on a free. It doesn't actually say where he's come from. I think I don't know what the story is there, to be honest, Titch.
Maybe
I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe they re-signed him because I thought he was there last year.
Yeah. Players that have gone out that are notable are Robbie Brady, Ben Gibson, Bailey Peacock Farrell, and the rest are probably a collection of youth team players or some such like players. So yeah, Burnley Football Club, not too much in the way of headlines. But what are your thoughts?
Right, Lennon, yeah, he was there last year, so they probably just released him and then re-signed him. Maxwell Cornet. Now, I have to say this. Now, the one thing I really don't respect about Burnley is the lack of diversity in their squad. So for me, it's a big thing that they've signed a black player, not a mixed race player. Aaron Lennon is mixed race. I am mixed race. They've signed a full black player. So, wow. Well done, Burnley. Welcome to 2021. Because in the Premier League, to have a squad like theirs, just didn't make any sense. Do you understand? Like, it made no sense to have no diversity in your squad in the Premier League in 2021. So welcome to the real world. And I mean that with a passion.
Yeah.
I look at them, man. It really like that. I don't like that, man. I really don't like that. So, and you know, all due respect,
a little bit strange, doesn't it? You know,
yeah, that's like a by design. Do you understand? Like, you've chosen that. So, you know, like, good luck. Respect to Cornet, because he must have, you know, looked at that squad and done a little bit of research. Now, I heard that when he done his unveiling, he kissed the Umbro logo rather than the Burnley badge. I don't know
that.
Now, you know, that makes sense, because he might have to. They might have to earn his trust before he can kiss that badge. You know what? Sometimes you've got to have a pioneer. You've got to make someone say, "Listen, I'm going to do the first one in, and then we'll set a trend, and then burn." You understand? Yeah. It's come from Lyon. They finished just outside the relegation places last year, so that's a great signing for them. It has to be classed as a great signing. The other ones, Heaton, Lennon is just re-signed, so I won't even count that as it, because they didn't really play him too much last year. So I would have to put Burnley once again in the bang average window, and they only didn't get poor because they've signed Maxwell Cornet, and that's not, you know, like through any other reason apart from footballing reasons. That's a great signing for them, but they didn't do much else. So yeah, I'll put them in the bang average. And finally, I'm glad Burnley have a fully fledged dark black player at their club. They had one other youngster that they brought on near the end of last season, who obviously no one's ever heard of. But yeah, man, like, come on, man, like, let's get up with the times, man. Seriously.
Cool. No worries. They're in the bang average category. Moving on, we've got Chelsea now. Quite interesting, this, because they didn't actually sign that many players. And I said this on the stream with Cat Hall. When you look at the previous three names that have been etched, for the previous three different clubs that have been etched on the Premier League trophy, that being Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea, between those three clubs have signed 6 players. It's quite incredible. Really is.
But they're in that position, though, where it's
yeah,
just a little bit of tweaking.
Yeah, but, you know, I don't know. I sort of do think it's a bit strange. I mean, Chelsea signed 3, Liverpool signed 1, and Manchester City signed 2. And you do sit there and think, I know they've got a fantastic squad and all the rest of it, but I mean, in the case of Liverpool, I do sit there and go, oh, do you know what? I actually think that they needed to strengthen a bit more than that. But listen, I'm not a Liverpool fan, so it's not my problem. So, but looking at the incomings at Chelsea, well, as I say, there's only 3, so I'll list them all. Marcus Bettinelli, he's a goalkeeper. He's coming from Fulham on a free. He actually used to be on loan at my local club, Dartford. He had a loan spell there, I remember. Romelu Lukaku from Inter Milan, who obviously used to play his trade at Stamford Bridge. And Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid, who was a deadline day loan incoming. Looking at the outgoings, Willy Caballero, Pierre-Emerick Alimbi, who has obviously come to ourselves. Fikayo Tomori has completed his move to AC Milan. Billy Gilmore on loan to Norwich. Victor Moses has gone to Spartak Moscow. Olivier Giroud, Mark Guehi, Conor Gallagher, Tammy Abraham, of course, Michi Batshuayi, Emerson Palmieri, Davide Zappacosta, Baba Rahman, Kurt Zuma, Timue Bakayoko, Danny Drinkwater, Ethan Ampadu. Yeah, I mean, an absolute honestly, it's there's loads of players that have gone out the door. Probably most of them are kids. Most of them have gone out on loans and all the rest of it. But the European champions, Titch, talk to me.
Like, loads out, and obviously the main player in was Romelu Lukaku, 97 mil. What I will factor in, though, is that was your player. You had this guy, so that will go into my thought process for their transfer window. Saul from Atletico Madrid, he's a good player, and he will fit right into that midfield position at Chelsea. Bettinelli is just, like a second or third choice goalkeeper, so he's not anyone of note. Now, you've released 2 centre backs in Tomori and obviously Zuma. I know the rest of the players that they've released is probably players that weren't ever going to have a look in or anything like that. So, on paper, you look at Lukaku and you say, you know what, yes, they finally got like that number 9 Drogba type player. But I have to go back to the fact that you had this guy, you got him for, I think, 28 mil from Anderlecht when he was a youngster, and you sold him, and to now pay probably 60, maybe 70 million more than you purchased him for initially, is crazy, and it's not good business. Yeah, it works for you because you've got money, but take that away and it's bad business. So I would have to say they are the European champions. They're obviously now trying to win the Premier League based off of all of the players that they've released and the few that they've bought in. I would have to say that was a bang average window for Chelsea, because I feel like people like Alonso you can get a better left back than that. Azpilicueta, I rate him, but I'm saying no, they've got Reece James there. But yeah, Azpilicueta, Alonso, you could definitely upgrade that position and get someone in that's better than him.
Yeah.
Not saying he's a bad player. So yeah, I just think that they identified just really the number 9 position as the problem, rather than, if we're going to try and retain the Champions League and also go for the Premier League. I think they needed to bring in maybe 3 players that would walk straight into the team. Obviously, Lukaku's one of them, but other than that, they didn't. So I put them in the bang average for me.
They're in there, the European champions. And I've said this on the previous streams, Titch. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think they're my personal choice. If I had to tip a team that's going to win the Premier League, I actually think Chelsea are going to do it. We'll see.
Yeah, they could do. It
We'll
wouldn't surprise me.
Moving on, a team that's had an awful lot of upheaval in the summer, because obviously at the back end of last season, Roy Hodgson announced that he was stepping down after a good few years at the helm, and obviously in comes Patrick Vieira to make his Premier League debut as a manager. Now, looking at their incomings, players of note: Michael Olise from Reading, Mark Guehi from Chelsea, Joachim Anderson from Lyon, Conor Gallagher on loan from Chelsea. Nathaniel Klein has come in on a free, although I think he was there last season, if memory serves me, and so I think they've just
January,
his contract was up and then he's re-signed, but he's still on the list. Will Hughes from Watford, and Odson Edouard, who we were linked with sporadically, from SPFL team Celtic. Against their outgoings, the players of note: Wayne Hennessy, Andros Townsend, Mamadou Sakho, Patrick Van Arnholt, Gary Cahill, James McCarthy, Scott Dan are the players that are on the list, that are players that I instantly recognise. So obviously, when obviously you have a manager that's been there for a long time that leaves and is replaced by a manager that maybe wants to play football in a different way, and he sees the squad that isn't geared to, doesn't have the skill set to play the way he wants to play, he's then going to have to get people out, get money in, get some people in that are going to do the job. So, everything taken into account, Titch, Crystal Palace, what are your thoughts?
This will be a very quick one. I think the players that you listed that they released, and then the players that came in. So one example is Joachim Anderson and Sakho out. I would have to put their transfer window straight into the bang average, because, like I said, the ones that they released were all Premier League players, and all those names you were saying, they was all familiar to me. So, they've got the Premier League experience. Some of the ones they brought in haven't got as much Premier League experience. So overall, because I'm not going to say I know, that player, I know him, and the ones they've brought in, but I know the ones that they've released. All of those players, I know them. So I can only put that in a bang average, because it's just same in, same out, in my opinion. So that's
okay. Well, they're in there. They're in the bang average category. So we then move on. Next one on the list is Everton, who've obviously just been, again, a managerial change, which they probably weren't expecting at the beginning of last season when they brought in Carlo Ancelotti. They gave him an awful lot of cash. He did some business, and they had a long-term plan. Fast forward 12 months, and he says, I'm off to Real Madrid. Thank you very much. And parachuted in to replace him is the former Liverpool Champions League winning manager, Rafa Benitez, who once upon a time levelled the accusation at Everton that they were a small club, which I don't think went down terribly well. Be that as it may, as far as the transfers goes, incomings, Andros Townsend, Asmir Begovic, Damari Gray, and Salomon Rondon, along with Andy Lonergan, the goalkeeper at West Brom, but he's basically a reserve. Outgoings, we've got Theo Walcott, Josh King, Yannick Balassi, Mohamed Bezic, who else? Bernard, Moise Keane. That's pretty much it as far as the names that anyone outside of Everton Football Club would recognise. Your thoughts? Good, bad, indifferent? What we got?
You know what? When you said the players in, Damari Gray for 1.5 mil is wonderful. That's Harry Redknapp business right there. Andros Townsend, another good Premier League player. Begovic, Premier League goalkeeper. And who was the last one you said that they brought in? The striker. Rondon, right.
Yeah.
That's, for me, is very good. When you started reading off the ones they let out, I thought, you know what? The ins is topping it out. But then you started saying more familiar names in Moise Keane. Balassi wasn't playing for them, so that's a nothing transfer. Can you just say the outs again?
Okay, so Theo Walcott, Josh King, Yannick Balassi, Mohamed Bezic, Bernard, and Moise Keane. And as I say, there's an awful lot of players that have released. But I think an awful lot of them are just youth team players, to be honest.
Right. So I think that their ins slightly outweigh the outs, because you put Walcott and Moise Keane in there. Mo Besic wasn't playing. Bernard, he had a few good games for them, and Balassi wasn't even in the equation. So I think they slightly are, the incomings is better than the outgoings. But the fact that, I know he started off well, but the fact that you signed Rafa Benitez after the comments and after where he's been and all that, and it's just a ticking time bomb just waiting to explode once things are not going so well. So I'm going to factor that in as well. Otherwise, I'd have to put them... No, so I'm going to go... They're bang average as well.
Okay.
Rafa tips it back down to, even it out, I think.
No, it's a factor in your thought process. That's not a problem. Everybody looks at it a different way. And that's why I love getting different people on, because I can listen to everyone give their points of view. And there'll be someone that will say, well, this is the way I look at it. And I'll sit here and go, do you know what? I never thought about it like that. And it might maybe make me look at it from a different point of view. I love it. It's brilliant. So, no, there they are. They're in the bang average category. So we're still waiting for our first poor bit of transfer.
And you know what? I don't know who that's going to be, because I haven't done any research. I just know who West Ham. So, yeah, I'm hoping there has to be someone.
There's got to be someone you're going to look at and go, ooh. And I've got a funny thing, I know who it might be, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to keep my powder dry on that one. Okay, so moving on. We've got Leeds United. So, incomings of note. Well, Jack Harrison, but to be fair, he was there last season on loan. They've just turned it into a permanent transfer from Manchester City. Junior Firpo from Barcelona and Dan James from Manchester United are the three that I'm looking at and going, yep, heard of them. The rest of them, I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with Christopher Klassen from Vålerenga. I'm not familiar with Leo Hjelde from Celtic, amongst others. The outgoings of note, let's see. Ezjan Alioski, yep, I'm familiar with him. Pablo Hernandez, yep, okay. Ian Poveda, seen him. He was sort of like a bit of a sort of regular substitute appearances he made. Helder Costa, he's gone on loan to Valencia. The rest of the outgoings are players, to be honest, and unfamiliar to me. Titch. So, your thoughts on Leeds United?
Simple. This is going to be real quick. Bang average. That's it. Ins and outs. No major signings. That's it, mate. Bang average for Leeds.
Okay.
Easy one.
Didn't muck about there. So they're in the bang average category. Done.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Next on the list now, Leicester City. Incomings of note. Patson Daka. To be honest, they're all notable. All of them I've heard of, to be fair. Patson Daka, Boubakary Samare, Ryan Bertrand, Yannick Vestergaard, and Ademola Lookman. Their departures Christian Fuchs, Matty James, Wes Morgan, who retired. Who else? Dennis Pratt and the rest of them, to be honest, are a collection of youth team and bit part players, such as Callum Wright, who went to Cheltenham Town. Okay, so Brendan Rodgers' Foxes, talk to me.
Right, so the names you said, Patson Daka, when I was on your show with the 85 mil, I put him in the squad.
You did.
I also put as a free signing Ryan Bertrand.
You did.
They've got Samare from League on title winners Lille. Who's the other two? You said Lookman.
Lookman and Vestergaard.
Right, so Lookman.
Broken leg to Fofana.
Right, so Lookman is a very, very good player, lots of potential. And then Vestergaard, when I done my one from each team over last Christmas, I had Van Dijk from Liverpool and I had Vestergaard from Southampton. That was my centre-back pairing. So, the players that they've released are, like nothing special in regards to where they were at in their career. So I would have to, and I love the way Leicester go about their transfer business.
Yeah.
And I spoke yesterday actually, I was just saying we'll get to West Ham soon, but I'm saying generally when I look at West Ham's bench, it's always there's not really much on there. Leicester, when everybody's available, their whole bench is a problem. So Leicester go right at the top in excellent, and that's a little bit more than Villa as well. But their transfer business has been exceptional. As always, I would have to say. But is after I've learned that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you, mate. I think their business in this transfer window, but more generally, just overall as a Premier League club, I think they're run. I think they're a blueprint for any team outside the top six that have aspirations of breaking into that top six.
Look at that. Two Midlands club at the top.
Yeah, crazy. Liverpool Football Club next. Incomings, real short. 1. Ibrahima Konate from Leipzig. Players released quite a lot, but players of note. Gini Wijnaldum on a free to Paris Saint-Germain. Marco Grujic, but he was very much on the periphery of the squad, as was Harry Wilson, Ben Woodburn. We've got Xherdan Shaqiri a little bit further down the list. Pretty much it, really. The rest of them are players that are sort of youth players and very, very peripheral squad players. So do you think that the lack of strengthening could come back to haunt them, or do you think that they've got a deep enough squad to cope?
Right, so this will be probably a short one as well. Last year, injuries were their undoing, so they've brought in a centre-back. But if their main centre-backs are injury-free in Van Dijk and Gomez and Matip, how much is Konate going to play? So was that, that's your only one signing, but like I said, is I would imagine that if everybody's fit, his game time will be limited. Wijnaldum is a very underrated quality player, and you let him go on a free. It was just he went out along with Shaqiri, who's a Premier League, he's got the experience and all of that, and you only brought in Konate, who is a centre back. You just scraped into the top 4 last year, and that was, like I said, down to your injuries and stuff. So clearly you needed to upgrade your squad. So I would have to put Liverpool right at the bottom into the poor transfer window for them.
Oh yeah.
And if you've got aspirations of getting back to winning the league, then you should have done more in the transfer market, a lot more. And you lost Wijnaldum, who is to me is a very underrated
so
player.
They're in the bang average, did you say?
No, poor. They're right at the bottom.
Yeah. No, I'm inclined to agree. I think signing one player, I think he's asking for trouble. I really do.
And a centre back.
Yeah, I think that you at least. I just think that even if they'd have won the Premier League last season, even if they'd have won the Premier League, won the Champions League, won the FA Cup, the League Cup, if they'd have won every trophy that was available to them, the European Super Cup, the sort of the sort of Dog and Duck Cup, I think you still need to freshen it up. You still need to strengthen. One player, I don't think is freshening it up in the slightest. So. There you go. Okay, next on the list, the Premier League champions, Manchester City, 2 incomings there. Scott Carson from Derby on a free, the goalkeeper, but he's
Doesn't
not going to
count.
be. Yeah, he's not going to be playing too many games, I feel. But Jack Grealish, obviously, who we mentioned earlier, coming in on £100 million from Aston Villa. Outgoings of note: Sergio Aguero and Eric Garcia, both of whom have gone on a free to Barcelona. Jack Harrison, who, as we mentioned earlier, was on loan at Leeds last season. He's made it a permanent deal. Lucas Nemecha has gone to Wolfsburg. Patrick Roberts has gone to Troyes on loan. The rest of them, in all honesty, are not players I'm terribly familiar with, such as players like Joe Hodge, who's gone to Wolves. Sorry, I've never heard of you, Joe. Talk to me, Titch.
I would say that, the fact that they needed a number 9 and they made it known that it was Harry Kane, and you didn't pull off the transfer, which is probably a lot to do with Daniel Levy, but once you put it out there and you're the Premier League champion, you need to go and get that player. So clearly that was their main, or their primary target was a number 9. You didn't get that, but then you went and spent 100 mil on a player who is not any better than your Mahrez's, your Sterling's, and he doesn't score as many goals as those 2 players that I've just said. And then obviously you've let go a few players. So you know what? I would have to say, this might shock you, but I think it's poor. I'm going to put Man City in the poor bracket as well. Because I know that you wanted Harry Kane, you wanted a number 9, and then you've spent the same money or just under that on a player that's not a number 9 and won't get you as many goals as you understand? That's what you wanted. Yeah. You wanted someone that's going to guarantee you goals. So yeah, I know it's the glitz and the glamour and all that, but if you think about it, it's a poor window for them. So yeah, surprisingly, it's the 2 massive clubs that are right at the bottom for me.
Yeah, the last 2 Premier League champions are both in the poor category, and like I say, between them they signed 3 players. It's quite incredible in my opinion, but there you go. Okay, so we move on. Manchester United now. Rather much more business, but I mean, well, I say that they've signed 4 players, but 3 of them, I think it's fair to say, are players that are going to go straight into the first 11, no question. Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane, and the returning, and he may be 36 years of age, but this guy is an absolute freak of nature, Cristiano Ronaldo. They also brought in Tom Heaton, who was at Aston Villa, who was on the books at Manchester United some years ago before he made the breakthrough. Moving on, players of note: Sergio Romero. Who else we got? We've got
Tuanzebe on loan.
We've got Tuanzebe that's gone out the door. We've got Daniel James. We've got Brandon Williams. We've got Andreas Pereira, and a raft of players that most people have never heard of outside of Manchester, like Johan Guadango, who's gone to Copenhagen. No idea. What do you think, Titch? Good, bad?
Right, you mentioned the 4th player you said they've brought in is some 36-year-old. I've never heard of him. What's his name?
Tom Heaton.
No. I've heard of him. He went from Man United to Burnley.
The thingamy-bob, Cristiano, Ronaldo.
Yeah, he's 36.
Yeah, he's knocking on a bit. I'm not too sure,
Christian Ronald, did you say?
Christian Ronald. Christian Ronald.
Oh. Right. I would have to say, I'm going to just say, Ronaldo. He can still do it, and he proved that against Ireland the other night.
Yeah.
He's a different player to the player that left, obviously. And he's just got the knack of like pulling it out of the bag when it matters.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know football's a business, so they also know that if City were interested, maybe that was the agent, just like forcing their hand. But they also know that they're going to get the money back in shirt sales. It's not even a lot of money, really, in this day and age, especially for a club like Man United. So really, they haven't really paid anything for him because they're going to get that back. So that one signing alone is fantastic for Manchester United. Varane is needed. Another one who's won the Champions League. He's won the World
Yeah.
Cup. Like when you mention the top 5 centre backs in the world, most people probably put him into that equation. So that has to be an excellent signing. Jadon
Definitely.
Sancho is a wonderful player. He's proven that in his 2 seasons at Dortmund with his numbers. And once he kind of gets used to the Premier League, which will take a little while, as you've seen, he hasn't been, like playing every minute of every game for them. But once he gets up to speed with the Premier League, if he can replicate what he done at Dortmund in the Premier League, another excellent signing. Tom Heaton, he's another one going back to Man U. He went from there, went Burnley, went Villa. He's gone back there. Obviously, he's an
He's going to be
understudy,
a number
but
3, isn't he? He's going
yeah,
to be
but
behind, obviously, De Gea and Henderson. So,
but as a number 3, when you compare it to someone like Scott Carson, that's a very good number 3. So,
oh yeah,
the players out. I know Williams will probably be on loan. I know Chong is on loan. I know Tuanzebe's on loan. So they haven't released them. I would have to put Manchester United right at the very top of the tiers for their transfer business. No doubt.
There they are. Right, I'll just hang on a sec. Just button pressing. Gone a bit wrong. There we go. That one. Right. Okay. So there they are, alongside Aston Villa and Leicester at the top of the tree of Titch's transfer business tier list. We still have a few more to go. Stay tuned. Next on the list, Newcastle United. Now, their incomings. I got to be honest. Outside of Joe Willock, the rest of them. Now, the player that Cahill was quite keen on was a guy called Santiago Munoz from Santos Laguna. I'm not familiar, I'm sorry to say, with Charlie Wiggett of Chelsea, with Remy Savage of Liverpool, or Cameron Ferguson of Tranmere. They may go and prove me wrong. They may have absolutely brilliant seasons for Newcastle United, but right here, right now, I've never heard of you guys. Outgoings, players of note. Well, there's an awful lot of names that I'm looking at, but not names that I'm familiar with until I get to Florian Lejeune, Matty Longstaff. The rest of them, to be brutally honest, I've never heard of Yoshinori Moot. Oh, no, tell a lie. No, I remember him now. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. Just as I was saying it, I thought, no, hang on. Yes, I do remember him. I think he was a striker. But Ty Ebanks, Lewis Cass, never heard of him. Elias Sorensen, never heard of ya. Yeah, just not too sure what was going on at Newcastle United. But talk to me.
Is it Callum? It's Callum Willock, isn't it? That is his name. Callum
Joe
or
Willock.
Joe? What's Joe?
Willock.
Sorry. Obviously, he done fantastic for them last season.
Oh, yes.
I think he scored in 6 or 7 consecutive games.
Scored against us, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's for them. That's a great signing. Now, they finished 12th last year. They didn't have, the best of seasons. Now, if you're a Newcastle fan, they want more. So, to bring in just one player... I mean, even Matty Longstaff, I know he's gone on loan to, I think, Aberdeen or somewhere someone is. Yeah. So, like, the ones that they've released and then bringing in Willock, once again, it kind of, balances itself out. They should have, I believe, made, a few more notable signings that are going to walk straight into the team, because that's how you progress, by, upgrading. They've brought in Willock, but no one else. So it's almost like you already know that Newcastle is going to have the similar season as last year, where they're going to be, flirting with relegation. Then near the end, they'll be all right. If they get an injury to Callum Wilson, they could be in big trouble, and his injury record is not great. So I would have to say Newcastle's transfer business has been bang average. Yeah, I won't say poor because of the Willock signing.
Yeah.
And that was on the last day as well, wasn't it? Or was it the day before?
It would have been around that, I think. Or no, actually, no. Didn't he come onto the pitch against us?
Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, he did.
It might have been a little bit before that.
Yeah.
But,
so they got that done. Yeah.
I mean, it must be quite difficult. And I'm not a Newcastle fan, and I'm not particularly a fan of Steve Bruce, if I'm being completely honest. As a manager, I thought he was a fantastic player at Manchester United back in the day. But as a manager, I just think he's just sort of like a poor man Sam Allardyce, to be perfectly honest. But it must be quite difficult when you've got an owner that's quite clearly not willing to put his hand in his pocket anymore to, continue to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. And to be honest with you, they finished 12th last year. Well, realistically, what else could they achieve?
Exactly. And
So,
like I said, with the signings they've made, it's kind of like you're going to get the same season as last season. And,
yeah,
they had the fans back first game of the season. They went 1-0 up against us very early, and they beat us twice last year.
yeah.
Then just before half time, they scored again, which is the perfect time for them and not so perfect for us. And then they still went on to lose 4-2 in front of the home fans. So
Yeah.
I think they've got 1 point this season or no points.
I'm not entirely sure. I got to be honest
I
with
think
you.
it's either one or none. So
Yeah.
they haven't started the season well, and that's probably a reflection of their transfer business. So yeah, I'd have to say bang average for them.
Fair enough. So we move on to, again, a team that has been promoted to the Premier League back at the first time of asking, Norwich City. Players of note coming in: Angus Gunn, Ben Gibson, Billy Gilmore, Brandon Williams and Ozan Kabak. The rest of them are players, in all due respect to players like Pierre-Lise Melou of Nice, players that I'm not, frankly, familiar with, or Christos Tzolis of PAOK Salonika. Yep, never heard of you, mate. Outgoings of note: Alex Tetti, Mario Varanic, Emiliano Buendia, Orland Neeland, Marco Stieperman, Joseph Dermich, Jordan Hugill, remember him? Yeah, and a raft of players, such players that I've never heard of, like Tyrese Omotoye, who's gone to Leyton Orient, Dan Agshead, who's gone to Gillingham on loan. Sorry, Dan, never heard of you either. What do you think? Do you think they've done enough to strengthen enough to stay above the relegation line, or do you think that it's not enough?
Brandon Williams is a good loan signing. Who was the other one you said as a loan signing? Not Kovac. The one before.
Yeah. I've got Ozan Kabak, I've got Brandon Williams. Oh, Josh Sargent, I forgot to mention him as an incoming from Werder Bremen. Billy Gilmore.
No, there was another one, another defender, I'm sure.
Ben Gibson from Burnley.
Who was after him? There was Angus. Was a fullback.
There was in order I went: Angus Gunn, Ben Gibson, Billy Gilmore. I didn't mention Josh Sargent, but I have now. Brandon Williams and Ozan Kabak are the players of note. The rest are, like I say, players I've never heard of Finn Clark from Peterborough. But
right. So Brandon Williams is a very good loan signing for Norwich. Ozan Kovac didn't look the best of defenders when he played for Liverpool. And then obviously you've released your best player in Buendia. I'm going to put Norwich in the poor department because, like I said, Brandon Williams is a good signing, but it's a loan signing. Kovac, from what I saw, he weren't up to much. And if you're going to sell Buendia for the money you sold him for, and that is your best player, do what Villa done and try and get in 2 or 3 that are almost as good as him, but ultimately, collectively, they are stronger than him. So, like, those 3 is probably better for you than Buendia. They didn't do that. So, I think, to come up and almost weaken your team, I think that has to be a poor transfer window for Norwich. Sorry, Norwich.
No, it's your opinion and you're entitled to it, Titch. You don't have to apologise on this, mate. Not a problem. Okay, so we move along. We've got Southampton there on the Hampshire South Coast. Their incomings: Theo Walcott, and that's it, basically, as far as the players that I've ever heard of. To be honest, until they went there, I'd never heard of Armando Broja, who's gone there from Chelsea, Tino Livramento, who's also gone there from Chelsea, Daniel Simeo, who's gone there from Chelsea, Lyanko, never heard of you, mate, sorry. Outgoings, now a few of these I've heard of. Ryan Bertrand, who's a player I know that you were quite keen on us getting through the door when we did You Are the Manager, as you mentioned earlier. Wesley Hoot, Angus Gunn, and Yannick Vestergaard and Danny Ings are the main 2 that have gone out the door, along with Michael Obafemi. Talk to me. Do you think that, again? Do you think that this is a good or a bad transfer window? I'm looking at it and thinking, ooh.
This is a simple one. It's poor. That's poor, poor,
Yeah.
poor. Players like Ings is is England quality striker.
Yeah.
Vestergaard is a Danish international. Ryan Bertrand is, he won the Champions League very young with
Yeah.
Chelsea. He's got the Premier League experience. He's a very good left back, and you let him go for free. Now I know that happens in this day and age, but somehow could you have not got a fee for, like letting him go for free for a club like Southampton is like you got to get money for these players, and he's gone to
Yeah.
someone like Leicester, so clearly he's good enough to play at a higher level than Southampton. So
Yeah.
the players that they released they would get into a lot of the top 8 squads or teams,
Yeah.
starting teams, sorry. And you brought in, who did they bring in? Did you say?
Theo Walcott.
Theo Walcott.
And there was 3 players that they've brought in from Chelsea.
Yeah. Right.
And Adam Armstrong. Sorry, I apologise. There was Adam Armstrong. I neglected to mention him.
But
that's an oversight on my part. I do apologise. Does that change? Does that change anything? Does it make it a bang average?
Maybe because
Armstrong?
with him now he's not Danny Ings, but he's still like potentially
pushes him up a little bit. I say
I'll have to put
on my part.
Right. Yeah. That's a bang average then. We put him there because of the Armstrong. Yeah. Bang average. Bang average.
Yeah, that was, as I say, that was a mistake on my part. I overlooked Adam Armstrong, and that obviously just changes it from a poor transfer window, as you can see there. It moves them back into the bang average category for Southampton Football Club. Next, we come to our dear friends just a little way along the North Circular Road, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who, well, on the plus side, Tottenham, you managed to keep your captain. Well, no, he's not your captain, is he? He's England's captain. He's the captain of Tottenham's actually Hugo Lloris, but he's your on-field captain anyway. Your outfield captain. Top goal scorer, top assist maker. Doesn't want to be there, but now he does apparently. But as far as the business that they did, incomings Pierluigi Gallini and Christian Romero from Atalanta. Brian Heel from Sevilla, Emerson Royale on deadline day from Barcelona. They also got in a player called Pape Matar Sarr from Metz. However, he's gone back to Metz on loan. I find that quite a strange set of circumstances.
He's meant to be a hot prospect. So
okay,
yeah. Apparently, he's meant to be.
Yeah. I always find it odd when teams sign players and loan them back to the team that they've signed them from. It just strikes me as rather odd, but there you go. Danny Rose has gone out the door. Paulo Gazzaniga as well. Juan Foyth, Eric Lamela, Toby Alderweireld, Joe Hart, Musa Sissoko has moved on. Serge Aurier has had his contract terminated. Cameron Carter-Vickers has gone on loan to Celtic, amongst a lot of other players. So talk to me, Titch. Are Tottenham going to re-establish themselves as a top 6, top 4 force this season, or do you think that maybe it's not enough?
Obviously, Daniel Levy is kicking me. Anybody watching, Daniel Levy is holding me hostage, so obviously, get me out of here.
Anyway, right, so
could you not have warned me you were going to do that? Honestly,
nah. That's what I'm saying. It's all spur of the moment.
That is beautiful. Oh, I'm clipping that. I am
right. So, right.
I love
them.
It.
Keep. Thank you. No. All right. Sorry. So, them keeping Kane. I know it's definitely against his will. He told me. But no, they keeping him against his will. He wanted to leave. He wants to win trophies. So yes, you've kept Harry Kane, but he's not a happy Harry Kane. But you kept him. So that has to be some good business, somewhat. But you could have got 120 mil for him, and maybe, once again, like Villa, reinvested and collectively got, 2 for 1. That's better than Harry Kane. So the outgoings, Sissoko for 2 mil to Watford, and he played against them like literally days later. I don't think that's great business. They brought in these players from Atlanta that I don't really know those players, but they are meant to be decent players. Lamela on his day is a good player. So because I don't really know too much about the incomings, and I do know the outgoings in Sissoko, I would have taken Sissoko at West Ham, 100%. Aurier, you've let him terminate his contract, so once again you can't get a transfer fee for him. So I'm going to put the Spuds in the bang average category. Yeah, if they would have sold Harry Kane and then only bought in those incomings, then they would have went down to poor. But yeah, I'll put them in bang average.
Yeah, and you guys watching this at home, you can probably just about see the Spurs badge, because the problem is it's a black background.
Yeah,
and their
it's so
badge is
annoying.
like dark blue. So the only thing you can really see, if I just go full screen with it, is next to the Southampton badge, you've got a little bit of white there with the cockerel's head, and then the rest of it is fairly difficult to see. But they're there. They're in the bang average category where they belong.
Where they belong.
Yep. So next on the list, again, a team returning to the Premier League and doing a bit of business is Watford. So, and I say they've done a bit of business, they have. Although a lot of them are players to be brutally honest with you, Titch, I'm not familiar with. But the ones that I am, Ashley Fletcher, remember him?
Yeah, I saw that. He was there as well.
He's walked through the door on a free from Middlesbrough. We've got Danny Rose. We've got Joshua King and Musa Sissoko, alongside an awful lot of other players. But to be honest, I've never heard of Vincent Angeli, who's come in on a free. I've never heard of James Morris from Southampton. I've never heard of Ozan Tufan from Fenerbahce. I apologise if I offend any of you guys or your families, but I don't know who you are. And you probably don't know who I am, so that's absolutely fine. Outgoings, players of note. Oh, blimey. Never heard of him. Nope, never heard of him. Don't know who he is. Right, I've heard of him. Isaac Success, who wasn't much of a success, which is why he's not at Watford anymore. Will Hughes, yep, they've gone. Andre Gray, Troy Deeney, Nathaniel Chalobah, and Domingos Quina. An awful lot of players have gone out on loan or released or whatever, but as I say, I've never heard of an awful lot of them. Again, they're coming into the Premier League. At the first time of asking after their relegation, do you think that it's enough to keep them above the dreaded drop line?
I don't know if you've got space on the line that I'm going to put them in, but the first season, the first game of the season, they looked good, man. They looked exciting, and I know that a lot of teams that come up, they have that, like first 8 to 10 games, they got that adrenaline, and then they like sort of drop off a bit, but they looked exciting in their first game. They beat Villa 3-2. With the signings, the ins and outs that you just rolled off, like you've let Troy Deeney go, you've let Andre Gray go. So, players that are, they know their way around the Premier League. And then the players that you've brought in, obviously Sissoko. Who else did they bring in, sorry? Joshua King.
Josh King, yep.
The notable ones.
Yeah, Musa Sissoko. Danny Rose, Ashley Fletcher.
Yeah.
Right.
So Fletcher is a championship striker, and the other three were not Premier League starters in Josh King, Sissoko, and what's their last one? Sorry, they weren't, and Danny Rose. They weren't. They were surplus to requirements at their club, so you didn't bring in no one. Okay, that's a great signing. So I'd have to say with their ins and their outs almost balancing out, I'd have to say that, I'll put them in the bang average. I don't know if there's space on that line, though.
Oh, yeah, there is, mate. Don't worry. It'll open
up. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
So, they're bang average.
Bang average. Fair enough. We move on to our beloved West Ham United. Now, it has to be said that for an awful lot of the transfer window, and as the days rolled on, I was getting a little bit more concerned. However, at the end, I have to say, those fears were significantly lessened, I think it's fair to say. Looking at our incomings in it, and I will do this in its entirety. Of the other teams I've sort of skipped through, but obviously this is a West Ham fan YouTube channel, and you and I are both West Ham fans, so let's really dig into it. So incomings from Reading, Thierry Nevers, Pierre Ekwa Alimbi from Chelsea, Armstrong Oko Flex from Celtic, Alphonse Areola from Paris Saint-Germain, Kurt Zuma from Chelsea, Nikola Vlasic from CSKA Moscow, and Alex Kral from Spartak Moscow against the outgoings, which were Oladapo Afolayan to Bolton, Fabian Balbuena, who was released, along with Sean Ardakwa, Olatunji Akinola, Samuel Cager, Alfie Lewis, Joshua Okocha. Joseph Anang's gone on loan to Stevenage. We've moved Felipe Anderson on to Lazio. Nathan Trott has gone on loan to Nancy. That sounds really weird, but that is how it's pronounced, people. I could say Nancy, but it's French. It's pronounced Nancy. I can't do anything about it. Frederick Alves has gone on loan to Sunderland. Mipo Odebeko has gone on loan to Huddersfield Town. And Connor Coventry has gone on loan to Peterborough. So, all things considered, Titch, did we do enough?
Can I just say, did Gylfi Sigurdsson sign for Nancy? Or no? He's not.
I couldn't possibly comment.
Right.
I couldn't possibly comment. I think Adam Johnson did.
Oh, yeah, that's it. You know, I was same as you. I was really, really worried because at the end of last season, I was saying that realistically, West Ham need to bring in, 5 or 6 quality players because of our European commitments. I was getting very, very worried. I think that Moyes is picking quality over quantity. I also think that if it's not the right fit for West Ham, he's not gonna make a signing just for the sake of it. Now, one bit of bad business is the price that we let Anderson go for. But if he's not going to play and you understand, you might as well get something for him. You understand? But yeah, overall, not great. But in this window, then it made sense to move him on. I think that I would have loved a striker, like a recognised striker to come in. But I think that Moyes is, he's letting Antonio know, listen, I've got complete faith in you. And I just think maybe the continuity of Antonio just playing, we'll reap the benefits of that. And that's sort of proven so far with his 7-goal involvement in the Premier League. But it's a bit risky because obviously we know Antonio does have an injury record. So me personally, and I think probably most West Ham fans, we would have liked a recognised striker to come in. But I understand that using the Tottenham as an example, any striker that comes there knows that you're going to literally play second fiddle to Harry Kane. And maybe that might have been Moyes' thought processes where, listen, who can I get in that's, good enough, but he's prepared to, like literally bide his time. Maybe you're not going to get that person, so you've got disharmony in the squad. So maybe that might have been good business, and it also keeps Antonio very, very happy. So, Areola is a fantastic signing. Like top-notch goalkeeper. Zuma, look at the pedigree. His pass percentage, I don't know if it was just for last season, that was like 90%. He's fast. I've said this yesterday, is that when I've watched his highlights, he is just as comfortable slide tackling like a last-ditch slide tackle on his left foot as he is with his right. Now, we've both played football. I'm very good at slide tackling with my right foot, but left foot, not so much so. So the fact that he can do, because when I was watching it, all of the initial recoveries were with his left. I'm thinking, is he left-footed? And then obviously, no, he's not. But the fact that he can make those type of slide tackles with his weaker foot, that's an art, that's a skill. So on top of his, like his speed, his dominance in the air, and his passing, and he's got other things that maybe are going under the radar, and that's definitely a quality to have. So to get him from Chelsea, this guy wasn't no unknown Chelsea player that was there. No, you understand, like he's played his part in all of the things that they've won. So for us, that's a major signing. And on paper, for his prestige, he's like West Ham's biggest player. Do you understand? Was he part of the France World Cup, or was he not in that squad?
I don't think he was. No, I had a look.
No, I don't think.
And it doesn't list him as a World Cup winner. I think he won. No. I think he won the World Cup at under 20 level a few years earlier, but I don't think he wasn't in the squad in 2018. No.
Okay, and he's won the Champions League. He's won the Premier League. So this guy is clearly now on paper our biggest player. So 30 million was needed to to prize him away. And the fact that Chelsea, like you've seen, like even in this show, their outgoings is high, but they didn't let him go on the cheap. So clearly, we've just acquired a major asset, and he's needed for us because Dawson, all due respect, he done well for us last year, but he must have known he was coming as a backup. somehow he came in and sort of, became a starter. But I think this season, if we'd have had Zuma, especially in the last game, I think we would have got 3 points. So we could have had. So he will make a difference at that end. He will get us points because of Dawson's sort of vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great signing. Crow, I said on your £85 million show that I would have brought him in for his energy, his tenacity. He's obviously a centre mid, defensive midfielder, but he can play centre back. I don't know whether we're using there, but he's got that defensive nous. He's also, he's very good at bursting forward in that. So he's a great acquisition. I don't know whether initially he's going to come in as a backup, but the fact that we now have someone that, if one of those two is injured, we can bring someone in that, on paper, he's an international that potentially would do just as good a job, and that was where we was very, very weak. So that was needed.
Yeah. Is he an upgrade on Mark Noble or Manuel Lanzini? Because they would obviously be the ones that you'd think would drop in for Rice and Souček. So is he an upgrade on those two?
I would have to say I've not been on this Lanzini bandwagon. I think that we should have sold him. I don't think he's a defensive midfielder. I think he done a good job there against Burnley. But, people sort of got a bit blinded. Lanzini needs to be, I think, probably moved on. If we could have got 10 to 15 mil for him, it would have been great business. But I'm not on this Lanzini bandwagon. I respect him, but I think we could have potentially moved him on. So, yes, Crow will be a better fit than Noble and Lanzini in that position, in my opinion. Yeah. And then the Vlasic kid, once again, we spent, I think it's going to work out about 33 mil. In total, and once again, from what I've seen of him, he's a Croatian international. He wears the number 10 for Croatia. I don't know if that's just in Modric's absence, but his numbers and his stats in Russia for goals and assists is crazy. He's got almost like Messi type dribbling. He's got speed about him, and I think I would, if I compare, do we want him or Lingard? I would have went for him because Lingard clearly wanted to stay at Man United. Lingard, and I said this at the end of last season, that I felt there was a decline in his performances. I think he started off, with a point to prove, and then for the last 5 or 6 games, we weren't seeing nothing special. And maybe having him back, Moyes would feel obliged to play him, and I think I definitely would have went for Vlasic over Lingard. He's 3 years younger, so... or is he 5 years younger? But is he 23 or 25?
I think he's 23 off the top of my head.
5 years. 5 years younger, so he's got more of a sell-on value. He's got more to prove, I feel, in a Premier League. And I think overall, that was the person to go for. So yeah, that's another one. That's a great, great signing. So, taking all of that into consideration, I would have to say West Ham, and obviously, we kept hold of Declan Rice. Now,
yeah,
I know there's interest in Declan Rice. I don't know whether our price tag is scaring people off. But if that's the case, then that's definitely good business because we need him, especially for this season. We can see how Crowd gets on and think, you know what, if we move him on, this guy might be able to do almost as good a job. And then, I don't know whether West Ham will get 100 mil. But the fact that Grealish went for 100 mil, I believe that Rice should definitely go for that. Now, if Rice feels that West Ham is overpricing him, then he's doing himself a disservice, I believe. And he's maybe 3 years younger than Grealish. I know they're completely different players, but he's English. He's a guaranteed starter for England. Grealish isn't. And I feel overall what he brings to a team is more valuable than what Grealish would bring to Man City. So if Grealish has gone for 100 mil, then Rice is only right that his price tag is 100 mil. So I think West Ham, I don't think they was overpricing him. I think they've said, you know what, this is his price. And I fully agree with that. I think he's worth 100 mil. And I said this to one of my friends, like way before this was even mentioned, that I would put, and I think people were saying 80 mil at the time. I said, no, I would put him in the 100 mil bracket. And this is way before Grealish went for 100 mil. So the fact that West Ham have done that, I think it's good business, but we need to make sure that when he does go, that we get close to that. Don't let him run it down and then he loses his value. So I would have to say we didn't sign a striker. And there's probably, Moyes has got a reason for that. But I have to be realistic and say that West Ham had a very good transfer window. Yeah, I think a striker, top quality striker, would have put it in an excellent bracket.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree.
We didn't.
But I don't think we had a bang average one. As I say, I think you have to factor in the fact that Declan Rice is still a West Ham player. Following on from the Euros, where I think he was superb. He's the man of the match in the final. I mean, what more do you want? What more can you say? But yeah, Declan Rice staying, the players that we've signed. As I say, I was getting a little bit concerned, but once the transfer window had closed, I looked at it, I sat back and went, actually, yeah, we've done all right. And especially when you consider, as I say, and you could turn around and say, yeah, but their squads are so deep, maybe they didn't need to do it. But as I say, you look at Liverpool, they signed one player. There was no other loans, there was no frees coming in. One player was signed, and that was it. Whereas we've done an awful lot more than that. So, comparatively, I think we did all right. So we got one team left, Titch. We've nearly at the end. Wolverhampton Wanderers up there in the Midlands. So looking at the incomings, the players that I've heard of are players that, well, one of which he was actually on loan there last season, Rayan Aït-Nouri, and Hwang Hee-chan has gone there on loan from RB Leipzig. Harvey Griffith, who I've sort of heard a few little whispers about, has gone in there from Manchester City. The rest of the players I'm not too sure of, although from Barcelona they've got a player from Francisco Trincao who's there on loan.
Yeah, Trincao, he's good, man.
Players going out the door, players that I've heard of anyway: Ruben Vinagre, Rui Patricio. Yeah, that could be interesting. Owen Otasawi has gone to Club Bruges. And the rest of them, to be honest, are players that are unfamiliar to me. Players such as Luke
Gibbs White go out on loan?
He's not on the released list.
Okay, I thought he went on loan somewhere.
Yeah, no, he's not on the released list. But yeah, I mean, there's a player here that, like Luke Matheson, has gone on loan to Hamilton Academical. Sorry, Luke, I don't know who you are. But I'm sure you're a very good standard player, but I've never heard who you are, so there you go. Titch, talk to me. As a West Ham fan, looking at Wolves, what's your thoughts on their transfer business?
Obviously, Rui Patricio is the Portuguese number one. They released him. And they brought in another Portuguese keeper who I hadn't heard of. Trincao, I know he's a loan signing, but he's a very, very good player. Like, he's really, really good. So that's a great signing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the two notable ones are Rui Patricio out, and for me, Trincao in, who is, like different positions, but, like their quality is kind of matched. So, other than that, they haven't really done much business. So, I'd have to say it was, for Wolves, just a bang average transfer window. Yeah.
Bang average. Okay, job done. They're in there. So, there we are. We're at the end now, ladies and gentlemen. So, just to recap for you, and I'll just go full screen with it if I may. So, in the excellent category, we have Aston Villa, Leicester City and Manchester United. Below them in the very good category is Brentford and our very own West Ham United. The bang average category is pretty full. You've got Arsenal, Brighton and Hove Albion, Burnley, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Everton, Leeds United, Newcastle United, Southampton, Watford and Wolverhampton Wanderers. And look at that in the poor category. Liverpool, Manchester City, the Premier League champions, and Norwich City. That, ladies and gentlemen, completes the tier list for today. Titch, I'm much obliged to you, my friend, for your attendance in this.
My pleasure. I like these sort of, where it's always going to be opinionated and I look forward to seeing, what other people have, gone for on their video. And that's not why I didn't watch no more of these, but I like to just come into it clean slate. I give my opinion, and then I can watch other people's after and just see.
No preconceptions.
So, but yeah, it's definitely a good concept.
Cheers, mate. And guys, please, as I say, this will be in the description below YouTube and Facebook. Get yourself along to Hammers Fans United. Click subscribe. Hit the bell icon. When he goes live or uploads anything, have a look, give him a like on the streams, and let's see if we can get his numbers built up and get him up to the next level. So sorry, I don't really go live yet. I think I've only done one live, and that was accidental. I will do, but yeah, please do it, your Harry Kane.
One set. It's the one from each team that's going to be, you know, a regular segment on there.
If you could just get me out of Spurs, much appreciated. Daniel Levy's holding me hostage.
Fantastic. You do it so well. It's almost like he's there.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, but yeah, thanks, Gatesy. I enjoyed this.
No problem. And once again, if any of you guys could just copy and paste this onto your social media platform to keep the momentum behind the campaign to get Isla her treatment. If you feel that you can put a few quid in a tin, you've got the link there on the Just Giving page. Please follow it. Put as much in as you can. Every little helps, as an advert once upon a time said.
Hey, Gatesy.
Yes, mate.
If you hashtag maybe Harry Kane voice or something in this video, you might get more views.
Oh,
Hashtag
really? Hashtag Harry Kane voice
or something. You might get, yeah, maybe.
I shall bear it in mind. Any tips you want to give me, mate, on getting any of these streams a bit more exposure?
Yeah,
I'm
Harry
all
Kane.
for it. I'll do just that.
Or the title, however you title it, it might, you know.
Voice like that. Yeah. You do it better. Than me. You do it much better. You know. It's
Obviously, because I'm the actual Harry Kane, so obviously I do it better. But yeah, Daniel Levy is holding me hostage.
Oh my god! Honestly, I'm going to show my.
I don't know why I lean into the mic to do it. I don't know. Why
it actually makes it even sort of better. I think it just sort of, you know, gives the final little exclamation mark to it. But so
you didn't get Jack Grealish, but you got Harry Kane.
I'm waiting for the Jack Grealish one, mate. I'm sure it's coming. Yeah.
I might just do a Harry Kane v Jack Grealish, because one went and didn't, and one didn't. Maybe a little beef.
You never know. Could be a little thing to put it in on the channel. So guys, as I say, thanks for joining us. Don't forget, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel of Fools from Iron and Hammers Fans United, and make sure you click on any of the bell icons to be notified of any content that are uploaded to both channels. Thanks very much indeed for your time, Titch. I'm going to end it there. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, all I want to say is make sure you subscribe to this channel, and thanks for tuning in. And yeah, let's get this channel to 1,000 subscribers, please, people. they've been putting in a lot of work. It's not easy on YouTube, and you literally got to be consistent. So yeah, just, you know, subscribe to Fools from Iron, please.
And Hammers Fans United, guys. That go, you know, I'm not sort of like, I'm very much like, I want everybody to be to be successful, and everybody to share the love. So, you know, if you're going to do it for us, do it for him as well. Please do. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. There's only one thing left to say, and it's my usual sign out. Come on, you
Irons.
Let's
Southampton away.
Take care, guys. See you later.